Two spine-chilling tales of nurses, exposed hauntings that will terrify you forever. Emily Johnson stepped into Willow Creek Hospital, the air around her thick with dread. Walls that once nurtured healing now seemed to whisper of the past. Shameful secrets lurked in the corners, thick as the dust that coated the reception desk. It had been a month since the hospital was shut down amid a scandal that sent waves rippling through their suburban community. The memories of lives lost here, trapped in the limbo of neglect, now echoed through the empty halls like a ghostly reminder. She gripped her flashlight tightly, illuminating the dark, forgotten spaces of the building with a trembling hand. Tonight, she'd work her shift alone, the weight of single motherhood pushing her forward. The faint sound of something distant pierced the silence, a hum from the heating system maybe. But it felt more like the hospital itself was groaning, awakening from a long slumber filled with despair. Emily squinted, trying to shake off the anxiety that crept into her heart. Midnight approached, casting long shadows that danced just outside her beam of light. One fleeting rustle sent chills down her spine, and she had to swallow hard to suppress her rising panic. Just stress, she told herself as she leaned against the reception desk, adrenaline racing through her veins. The hairs on the back of her neck prickled. It felt like something or someone was watching her, lurking just beyond the glow of her flashlight. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With every passing minute, Emily could feel the tension rolling in thicker, wrapping around her like a suffocating blanket. The whispers morphed into something sinister, melding into names she didn't recognize. Panic tightened her chest. She could almost imagine the spirits, the forgotten patients, trapped between the walls of this abandoned place, reaching out to her. Ghosts of sorrow blurred her careful thoughts as things moved just beyond her sight. Was it her imagination or something more? The shadows seemed almost too real, shifting and swirling in a grotesque dance, weighing heavily on her psyche. Across town, veteran nurse Lucy Reyes sat on the edge of her bed, trying to calm her mother, whose dementia had blurred the lines of reality and fear. "Isabella, the nurse, the one from my nightmares," her mother babbled, and Lucy felt a jolt in her gut. That name was a specter of her own childhood, a haunting reminder of visits to Willow Creek. Tension coiled inside her as her mother whispered more half-formed memories of the nurse who takes souls. Those desperate stories trapped Lucy in a chilling haze, pushing her to uncover what twisted truths lay beneath the hospital's facade. Back at Willow Creek, Emily's heart raced as she faced the growing chaos around her. The mournful whispers evolved into screams, an anguished chorus begging for release. What had she walked into? As shadows converged, she recognized the anger behind them, a deep, pulsating pain from those mistreated, their lives discarded. The ghost twisted closer, and terror clawed at her throat, threatening to swallow her whole. She realized this was no place for healing, but rather a graveyard of secrets. The walls echoed with lost potential. Just as things spiraled out of control, a bone-chilling scream reverberated through the disturbed silence. It froze her in disbelief, the recognition that she might be just a pawn in a game woven by unseen forces. Were Lucy and she destined to unveil the malevolence bound to this hospital, a place better left in shadows, where spirits of the past continued their haunting existence? Or would they too fall victim to the curse that lingered within these cursed walls? The weight of uncertainty loomed heavily, and as Emily gripped her flashlight, reality shifted, plunging her deeper into darkness. Emily's breath quickened, the scream rumbling in her ears like thunder. Flicking her flashlight toward the source, she stepped cautiously into the back corridor, where shadows sprawled against the peeling walls. The faint light revealed a tableau of abandoned medical supplies stacked haphazardly, but as she pressed forward, the scent of antiseptic twisted into something much darker. It clung to her, thick and suffocating. The cries faded, replaced now by an unsettling silence. Had it been a figment of her imagination? As doubts clung to her like cobwebs, she thought about turning back, but something pulled her deeper into the hospital's bowels, like an inkling of truth beckoning her closer. "I can't be the only one here," she whispered, glancing back down the long, dim hallway. Her voice echoed, bouncing off the cold surfaces, but the chill that followed made her spine tingle. She pressed on, not aware that lurking just beyond the edge of her light, shadows stretched and twisted at strange angles, their forms hinting at things not bound by human understanding. Just then, a soft giggle floated around her, delicate and haunting. Emily froze. That sound didn't belong here. It was the laughter of a child, light, joyful, and so out of place in this grim hospital. Her heart thudded faster, each beat echoing her dread. She thought of her own daughter, and the irrational fear followed. "Is anyone there?" she called out, her voice barely above a whisper. Another giggle, but sharper this time, echoed from the pediatric ward, a room they had told her was sealed tight, a place that held only painful memories and lost hopes. The hospital's dark past threatened to ensnare her. With a squaring of her shoulders, she moved cautiously toward the room, her feet heavy with dread. As she reached the ward's entrance, the door creaked open as if inviting her in. Shadows danced across the walls, casting shapes too vague to define. Emily's hand trembled on the edge of the doorframe as she stepped through, revealing a morbid tableau of forgotten toys scattered across the floor, their joyful colors maddening against the grim backdrop. "Please, show yourself," she implored, voice almost cracking. The laughter grew louder, echoing off the tiles. Emily's legs felt leaden as she spotted something move out of the corner of her eye, a flicker of movement in the darkness beyond the scattered toys. Whatever slinked away, it stirred a primal fear that created cold sweat on her brow. Then, suddenly, the lights flickered ominously overhead, plunging the room into an even deeper darkness. And as she stood there immobilized, a cold hand grasped her ankle. Her heart dropped into her stomach. "Let go!" she shrieked, but her voice was swallowed by the shadows. Beneath her, the grip tightened, yanking her down. Emily stumbled, panic gripping her like a vice. She kicked out, trying to free herself, but the unseen force only pulled harder, dragging her toward an unseen abyss. But in that moment of sheer desperation, right at the precipice of terror, a familiar voice cut through the growing chaos. "Mom!" Emily's heart soared and shattered all at once as she realized it was her daughter's voice. Then clarity struck her like a bolt of lightning. Lucy! She had to get out, had to reach the one person who could help her understand this nightmare. As she wriggled free, the darkness snarled in a way that caused her to stumble backward, panting, dread consuming her. "No!" she cried, before sprinting back down the hallway, the child's laughter now echoing hauntingly behind her. Each turn she took felt like a gamble, a desperate dash against whatever awaited her in the shadows. With one question burning in her mind, what was this place truly hiding? The echo of her daughter's voice lingered in her ears as she pushed through the door, the world beyond it feeling like a revelation, or perhaps a trap. The deeper she went, the more she realized the hospital itself was waking. But behind every door she opened, what awaited her? Driven by fear and a mother's resolve, Emily raced into the uncharted darkness, unaware of the truth waiting just beyond her reach, drawing closer with each frantic step. The hallway was a maze of shadows, and Emily's heartbeat echoed so loudly in her ears it nearly drowned out the echo of her daughter's fleeting voice. "Mom!" It was a desperate whisper, curling around her heart like smoke, drawing her deeper into the suffocating darkness. She felt the walls closing in, a living entity itself, and every flicker of the flashlight made the shadows writhe as if they were alive. She stumbled through the corridor, her eyes darting to each doorway, each promising refuge but exuding an overwhelming sense of dread. The air grew colder with every step. The antiseptic smell now mingled with a rusty iron scent that twisted her stomach. What if this is all just in my head, she thought, but doubt quickly turned into resolve. Lucy needed her. She couldn't give in to the fear clawing at her mind. As she rounded a corner, she caught sight of a flickering light illuminating a doorway ajar. Another room, waiting, inviting. Cautiously she approached, the floor creaking beneath her weight like bones protesting against her presence. The door swung wide with a low groan, and she found herself in a room filled with surgical instruments, gleaming metal on a tarnished tray, tools forgotten in the depths of this haunted hell. A chilling whisper seemed to crawl through the air. "Help us." "What?" she breathed, every muscle tensed, ready to flee. Was she losing her mind? The light flickered again, casting long, jagged shadows across the walls. For a moment, she thought she saw forms moving among the shadows, vague outlines with outstretched arms. Then a soft cry pierced the thick silence. It was unmistakably Lucy, filled with fear and longing. "Mom, where are you?" "Lucy, I'm coming!" Emily shouted, the fury of a mother's instinct snapping her back into focus. She sprinted toward the source of the voice, each pounding step resonating like a drum in her chest. As she tore through the next doorway, the sharp scent of decay hit her, swallowing her whole. This room was different. It felt like a tomb. The dim light revealed walls plastered with old, peeling photographs, each depicting smiling children, their laughter frozen in time. But shadows underneath each smile held secrets, dark and twisted. Emily's skin prickled. The giggles rang again, loud and mocking, as if carried on a sinister wind. "You shouldn't be here," a child's voice taunted, tinged with unnatural malice. "Show yourself," she shouted, desperately scanning the corners of the room, where shadows huddled, seemingly alive, whispering secrets just beyond her grasp. The lights flickered again. In that brief moment, Emily saw them, pale figures standing just near the edges of the darkness, children with hollow eyes and grins that should have belonged to a different time. Her breath caught as she realized the truth. These weren't just lost souls, they were trapped. Her mind raced. This place, it's feeding on their pain, just like mine. The revelation crashed over her, suffocating her hope. She had to escape, had to find Lucy before the darkness claimed her daughter too. Gathering what little courage she had left, she yelled, "Lucy, where are you?" But silence responded. A wind whispered around her, swirling and coiling, drowning out her cries. The children's laughter crescendoed into a cacophony of chaos, filling her head. Emily staggered backward toward the door, but as she turned to flee, the figures lunged, grasping at her, icy fingers grazing her skin. She felt the pull of despair threatening to take her into their eternal night. But somewhere, deep in her heart, she found a spark. She had to fight. She had to save Lucy. Jerking her flashlight back toward the doorway, she bolted, heart racing, mind screaming, fueled by a raw, primal instinct to survive. "I'm coming, Lucy!" But as she sprinted through the hallways once more, chasing the fading call of her daughter, an ominous realization dawned on her. What if they were leading her away instead? The hallway twisted, warped by fear. Emily had no idea what lay ahead, but she wasn't stopping. Not now, not ever. Somewhere beyond the darkness, a new voice, deep and echoing, hissed, "You're getting closer." With every desperate step echoing in the oppressive silence, Emily couldn't shake the dread that whatever awaited her next would be the ultimate revelation, a reckoning with the past, and a confrontation that would decide the fate of them both. Emily dashed through the twisting hallways, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Shadows danced at the edge of her flashlight, elongating and shifting as if to mock her frantic sprint. Each corner bore a lingering heaviness, a tension that wrapped around her chest like a vice. "Mom, please!" Lucy's scream echoed again, closer now, laced with urgency. It shot through her like a caffeine rush, reigniting her resolve. She couldn't falter. Every second mattered. The air turned sharp and biting, reminiscent of a winter's chill. The walls seemed to pulse rhythmically, as if the building itself was alive and aware of her presence. What was once just old plaster and decay had festered into something much darker. She skidded to a halt as she entered another room, a nursery drenched in a dull, sepulchral light. Cribs stood ominously against the walls, their wooden frames warped and splintered. Littered on the floor were toys coated in dust, forgotten relics of innocence. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the creaking of the wood and her ragged breath. "Lucy!" she called again, fighting against the aching dread in her heart. But this time an answer came, a low, droning chant, echoing from the depths of the room. It twisted her insides and filled her with a sense of dread. The voices merged, shifting between childish laughter and the mournful cries of long-lost souls. "You shouldn't have come here." A whisper curled delicately in her ear, sending icy tendrils of fear spiraling down her spine. The realization hit her. The walls were closing in, but not in the physical sense. They were closing in on her sanity. "Get away from me!" she shrieked, swinging the flashlight to illuminate the space around her, each beam revealing a snapshot of despair. Faded posters racked with peeling edges, tattered curtains fluttering in the breeze of a long-dead ventilation system. Then she spotted a figure, faint and ethereal, standing just beyond the cribs. Its figure was obscured by wisps of shadow, flickering like an old film reel. "Help us!" the figure pleaded, reaching out with a bony hand. The sight churned something deep within her. Fear clawed at her throat. She wanted to yell, but her voice faltered. Another flicker of movement caught her eye. More figures appeared, joined by the first, their hollow eyes fixed on her with desperate hope. "You have to save them!" "Stop!" Emily cried, ripping her gaze away, forcing herself to remain focused on her daughter. "This isn't real. I'm not like you." "Are you sure?" the child's voice whispered, slithering into her mind. "What makes you any different?" Emily staggered back, her heart racing. The shadows pressed in closer, swirling like a storm. Was it true? Had she lost herself to the despair that loomed around her? "Lucy!" she screamed again, anger fueling her. She tore from the nursery, bursting into another corridor, determination pushing her forward despite the mounting terror looming behind her. The walls felt alive, pulsing as she stumbled through the next door. Illuminated by a dim overhead bulb hung precariously from the ceiling, the room revealed itself. It was a playroom filled with remnants of joy now tainted. Colorful drawings clung to the walls, their cheerful images warped into grotesque smiles. "Mom, help me!" Lucy's voice now sounded tortured, almost swallowed by the echoes of laughter past. It chilled her bones and tore at her heart. "Where are you? Just hold on," she cried, her hands trembling as she moved deeper into the playroom, feeling the walls loom ever closer. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind her. Panic rose in Emily's chest, pounding against her ribs like a wild animal. She was trapped. Dark laughter warped around her, and shadows streamed across the walls, fueled by her growing fear. "No, no! Let me out!" she screamed, tears streaming down her cheeks as despair clawed at her insides. Just when it felt like the shadows would consume her, the laughter ceased. All that remained was silence, heavier than before. Then came a whisper, a single sentence slicing through the gloom. "She is here." Her heart stopped. Who was here? The question echoed in her mind, unyielding and terrifying. What had she stumbled into? Did the place truly hold the key to Lucy's location, or was it a trap meant to claim her forever? With the fear pulsing through her veins, Emily knew she had to confront the inevitable. Could she stand against the darkness? "Lucy," she breathed, terrified of what she might find on the other side. The faintest echo of a giggle slipped through the door, more sinister than sweet. For the first time, she hesitated. But with no way out but through, she realized she'd have to face whatever lay beyond to save her child. "Help!" came a muffled plea from the other side of the door. And then a familiar voice whispered, "Mommy, hurry!" Emily steeled herself. She had to open the door, had to risk everything. In that breathless moment before she turned the knob, she couldn't shake the chilling thought. In her quest to save Lucy, what horrors might she
unleash? Emily's hand trembled as she grasped the cold doorknob. The metal was slick with an eerie chill, as if it had been coated in frost. She had a choice to make: face the unknown or remain a prisoner of her own fear. Each beat of her heart echoed in her ears, a countdown of sorts. "Mommy, hurry!" came the voice again, fragile and urgent. With a deep breath, she twisted the knob and pushed the door open. The moment it creaked ajar, a rush of stale air enveloped her, brushing against her skin like the touch of a forgotten ghost. The room beyond seemed to stretch and warp, the shadows pulsating as if breathing in sync with her racing heart. She stepped inside, panic clawing at her gut. "Lucy?" Her voice trembled, dissolving into the suffocating silence. As if summoned, Lucy's silhouette appeared at the far end of the dim room, her small figure framed in shadow. Emily strained to see, but the flickering light did little to reveal her daughter's expression. It could be fear or something worse. "Moo!" Lucy's voice faded as she wobbled on her feet, teetering dangerously close to a deep black void in the center of the playroom. The darkness felt alive, an angry beast waiting to swallow them whole. "Stay back!" Emily shouted, lunging forward. The room warped again. The walls rippled, and grotesque drawings danced along the surface. Faces twisted in anguish, hands stretched out as if begging for release. "Please, come closer!" Lucy gestured, her little arms reaching out as if desperate for salvation. "No!" Emily screamed, rooted to the spot. "You don't understand. It's a trap." The shadows groaned, hungry and restless, swirling around her like a storm. Faces emerged in the darkness, each one reflecting despair and rage. They whispered her name, their voices slithering through her mind like poison. "Help us! Help her!" The words twisted in her head, clawing at her reason. Was she losing herself? "Mommy, please!" Lucy's plea sliced through the haze. Desperation fueled Emily's resolve. She rushed forward, ignoring the shadows that shrieked and writhed in protest. As she neared, the deep chasm of darkness opened wider, revealing a void that pulsed like a heartbeat. Lucy's expression flickered with urgency, her small body teetering at the edge. "Don't fall in!" Emily shouted, extending her hand as terror struck her heart like a hammer. "Jump to me!" Lucy hesitated, and for a moment, time stopped. The shadows seemed to latch on to the girl, pulling her closer to the abyss. "Mommy, I can't hold on much longer!" Emily lunged, stretching every muscle as her fingers brushed against her daughter's. "Grab my hand!" Then, as if the darkness realized they were escaping, a powerful force burst forth. Shadows grasped Emily's ankles, pulling her down, dragging her into chaos. Her scream was swallowed by the echoing laughter that rang through the air, dark and twisted. With every ounce of strength, Emily grasped Lucy's wrist. But the shadows were relentless. They were.
A whirlpool of despair, tugging them apart. "Let go of her!" Emily roared, yanking with all her might. "Fight it, Lucy, fight!" But the force from the void grew, wrapping around Emily like a vice, squeezing her breath away. In one last desperate gasp, she felt the warmth of Lucy's hand slip away. Time froze. The laughter echoed louder, booming and mocking as the shadows howled around her. Then a flicker of light. A voice pierced the darkness. "Mommy!" Emily's heart raced. Was it Lucy? Was she still there? Just when she thought she was lost, a glimmer of hope emerged. She felt Lucy's hand reach for her again, the grasp warm and strong against the icy grip of the shadows. "Hold on!" Emily cried, locking her fingers tightly around the small wrist. And then came the shriek, a cacophony of torment that threatened to engulf them both. The world spun wildly, and Emily's vision blurred. The darkness screamed her name, but determination swelled within her. This wasn't the end. It couldn't be. With renewed strength, she pulled. Just as the shadows threatened to claim them, she thrust them both into the light. But the laughter remained, echoing in the recesses of her mind. You've only just begun. What had they unleashed? What awaited them outside the cursed room? Emily and Lucy stumbled into the dimness of the corridor, breathless but aware. They were not alone. From the gloom emerged a figure, eyes glinting with a terrible hunger. "You shouldn't have come here, little mommy." As fear clamped down again, Emily's thoughts raced. Who was this creature, and what other horrors lurked in the depths of this sinister place? Now, more than ever, they needed to escape. That is, if they could even trust what lay ahead. The figure stepped into the weak light, revealing a face that sent a chill racing down Emily's spine. It wore a ghastly grin, lips stretched too wide, teeth yellowed and sharp. It looked like a person, but something primal in its posture, something feral, told her otherwise. "Lucy!" Emily shouted, pulling her daughter close by her side. The girl trembled against her, eyes wide and uncomprehending. "Mommy, who is that?" Lucy whispered, her tiny voice quaking. The creature tilted its head, long strands of dark hair hanging like shadows in its face. "Oh, my dear, I'm someone who knows all about your fears." Its voice slithered through the air, dripping with malice. "I've seen them before, those secret terrors that dwell beneath your skin." Emily felt the shadows that had just released them twitch and crawl back, circling around the creature like eager pets. She tightened her grip on Lucy, every instinct within her screaming to run. Yet she stood frozen, caught in the depths of her own dread. "Stay back!" she barked, breathing heavily, eyes darting to the throat of the corridor that led back to the playroom. She could bolt, she could try to escape. But where to? The shadows lurked everywhere. Why? "Did you come here?" the creature continued, its grin widening with every second. "This place doesn't just hold your daughter, you know. It has your fears, too. It's a feast, and you're on the menu." The shadows shrieked, their cries echoing through the corridor, wrapping around Emily's mind like a vice. Each agonizing sound clawed at her sanity, tempting her to let go and just drift into their embrace. But as she looked down at Lucy's terrified face, she felt clarity burst through the fog of terror. She was not here to succumb to their horror. She was here to fight. "I will not let you take her." The being's laughter cracked through the air, sharp and splintering. Oh, but sweet mother, you're already too late. Suddenly, a rush of visions flooded Emily's mind, her greatest fears laid bare, the loss of Lucy, drowning in darkness, being forever trapped in despair. The memories surged like poison, staining her will to resist. She gasped, her breath hitching as they threatened to drown her. "Mommy, please!" Lucy cried, eyes brimming with tears that tore at Emily's heart. It was enough. The raw sight of her daughter's anguish pierced through the blinding chaos. "Lucy, I love you!" she shouted, summoning every ounce of courage that remained. Like a flash of lightning cutting through a storm, Emily took a bold step forward. "Whatever you are, whatever you want, you will never have her." The glimmer in the creature's eyes darkened. For a fleeting moment, Emily saw something shift. Fear? Fury? The shadows shrieked again as they swirled toward Emily, closing in, churning like a vortex. She felt their cold fingers clawing at her skin, desperate to reclaim their hold. A desperate thought ignited in her mind. "Lucy, we need to fight back. Think of something warm." Lucy nodded, eyes fierce as she concentrated. "The park! The swings!" she shouted. In an instant, Emily felt warmth pulse inside her, a shield of love and memory. She focused with Lucy, each image of laughter filling the air, chasing away the encroaching darkness. The shadows met resistance, shrieking in frustration as they recoiled. Together, mother and daughter ignited a blaze within the dim space. "No!" the creature screeched, its face contorting in rage. With a primal scream, Emily plunged forward, dragging Lucy behind her, empowered by a sudden surge of hope. But even as they charged, the figure lunged, racing toward them with unnatural speed. The flickering lights grew brighter, the shadows flickering, crashing against one another. She just needed to reach the end of the corridor, to break free, to escape. And then she noticed it. A door at the far end, slightly ajar, glowing dimly with safety. "Run!" Emily yelled, pushing Lucy ahead of her. As they bolted across the floor, the shadows writhed and lashed out, threatening to pull them back into the horror. But something tethered Emily to that glimmer of hope, urging her forward. "Don't look back, Lucy. We can do this." They raced toward the door, the creature's screams of fury echoing behind them, booming like thunder. Emily's heart thundered in her chest, fear mingling with hope. Would they slip through the threshold and find safety? Or was this just another trick of the shadows? With a final desperate leap, they hurled themselves toward the glowing escape. But just as they reached for the doorknob, a shadowy hand shot out, gripping Emily's ankle tightly. "Your nightmares will always find you," the creature hissed, dragging her back into the darkness. Emily gasped, terror surging anew as she fought against the grasp. Would she be the next prisoner of this cursed place? And where would it take her if she failed? They were on the edge, a fight between light and dark clashing in the cold night. But Emily knew one thing: she would not give up without a fight. What waited on the other side of the door? Was it freedom or something far worse? Emily's heart raced as the icy fingers of the shadow squeezed tighter around her ankle. Desperation clawed at her throat. "Lucy!" she shouted, fear spilling from her voice, a plea laced with urgency. The look on her daughter's face was that of pure terror mirrored in her own, each heartbeat echoing the urgency to escape. "Mommy!" Lucy's small hands grasped for Emily, her tears glimmering in the dim light like tiny stars fallen from the sky. The creature laughed, its voice a chilling melody. "You're being selfish, Emily. Can't you see? Your daughter will never be safe while you're here, tethered to the darkness." Every word dripped with poison, seeping into Emily's thoughts, threatening to shatter her resolve. But something deep within her ignited, a fierce instinct to protect Lucy no matter the cost. Summoning all her strength, she kicked at the shadow's grip, but it was as if the very darkness danced in glee, tightening with each struggle. "Think, Lucy, think of the happiest day in your life," Emily yelled, her own mind racing through memories. Lucy closed her eyes tightly, her brow furrowing in concentration. "The birthday party!" she shouted suddenly, her voice cutting through the thickening gloom. "With the clowns and the balloons." Emily's heart swelled with the memory. Yes, picture it, feel the joy. The shadows wailed, their thrumming pensions swirling and twisting around them. But Emily saw Lucy's eyes flicker with determination as she embraced that joyful time. Emily joined her, channeling every ounce of love, every spark of joy wrapped around her little girl's laughter into the growing light between them. Heat pulsed through their bond, surging outward like a beacon. The dark shrieked, recoiling, caught in a tempest of compassion. "No, you cannot defeat me!" the creature screeched, and Emily's resolve ignited anew. She would not be consumed. With one last frantic effort, she yanked her leg free, the grip of the shadows dissolving like mist. Lucy dove toward the door, throwing it open wide with an urgent slam, bright light spilling into the darkness. Around them, "Mommy, come on!" Lucy cried, stepping into the light. Over the creature's screams, Emily surged forward, but another shadow looped out, this one snaking around her wrist, pulling her back with chilling insistence. It was an arm made of the deepest darkness, pulling her toward the void that threatened to swallow her whole. "No," she gasped, her breath hitching. "I won't go. I won't leave you." The dark voice hissed in her ear. "You'll never escape your mind, Emily." But Emily clung to Lucy's small form. "We are stronger together," she shouted into the chaos. "Remember the swings, Lucy, the trees, our laughter." As if her voice pierced through the veil, the memory of happier days sparked like a flame, igniting hope. The shadows shrieked in fury as Emily and Lucy charged through the threshold. "No!" came the creature's howl, a sound like rending metal. The light enveloped them, forcing the dark away, banishing the screams into silence. Emily felt the heavy weight lift from her chest as she stumbled into the breathtaking brightness. They were free! But then she sensed it. The darkness loomed at the edges of the light, pulsing and surging with menace. "Mommy, what's happening?" Lucy's voice trembled again, filled with uncertainty. "We're not safe yet," Emily murmured, fear crawling under her skin like bugs. "We have to keep moving." They dashed down the brightly lit corridor, but as they ran, whispers began to weave around them, chilling and haunting. "Emily, Lucy, you think you escaped? I'll always be here." Panic flooded Emily. It was following them, always lurking, waiting for a moment of weakness. Racing feet echoed behind them, shadows stretching to grasp at their heels. In the distance, she saw another door, this one cracked, with an unsettling darkness beyond that seemed to breathe. "Go through that door," Lucy urged, pointing with determination. "But what if it's a trap?" Emily hesitated, her gut twisting. "Mommy, please," Lucy begged. "We have to try." Emily squared her shoulders and took a breath, glancing back at the terror reaching out for them, feeling the fear creeping back in. Was this just another deception, or could the answers lie within? And as they approached that ominous door, doubt and dread settled heavy in her heart. Was there truly safety on the other side, or only the escalation of their nightmare? With no other choice, she grasped the doorknob tightly. "Whatever happens, we face it together," she whispered, steeling herself for the unknown. As the door swung wide open, an unsettling darkness awaited them, pulsing with ominous energy. What horrors would the other side reveal? The door creaked open slowly, an ancient lament like a wounded beast. Emily felt the darkness pulsing on the other side, a living thing that filled her with dread. Lucy clutched her hand tighter, her small fingers trembling. The corridor behind them echoed with the monster's growls, both taunting and relentless. "Stay close, Lucy," Emily breathed, stepping forward in the void. The air thickened, wrapping around them like a ragged shroud, pulling at their skin and invading their lungs. As they crossed the threshold, the world behind them seemed to dissolve, the light fading into whispers and hollow laughter. The new space was vast and dim, illuminated by flickering, sickly green lights that cast unsettling shadows. The walls dripped with moisture, and a stale, coppery smell hung in the air. Emily's heart raced as she scanned their surroundings, every instinct screaming that they shouldn't be there. "Mommy, I don't like this place," Lucy whimpered, her voice small against the overwhelming silence. "Just keep holding on," Emily whispered back, forcing herself to maintain a brave face. She took a tentative step forward, her feet squelching against the damp floor, a sound like the squish of rotten fruit. "Welcome," came a hiss that slithered through the room, chilling her marrow. Familiar yet twisted, the voice wrapped around them like smoke, lingering and suffocating. Emily clenched her jaw, instinctively pulling Lucy closer. "You're not welcome here," she shouted, trembling with defiance. The shadows cast by the flickering lights twisted unnaturally, forming shapes that flickered with grotesque familiarity. Fingers, faces, and eyes that seemed to watch them with hungry anticipation. "You think you can escape me," the voice crooned, softer now, dripping with mock sympathy. "You wanted to protect her so badly, but can you protect her from yourself?" Lucy shivered against Emily as the darkness closed in, and for a moment Emily faltered. Doubt crept in like a thief. Was this her fault? Had her fear created this horror? "Mommy," Lucy's whisper broke through her thoughts, laced with fear. The sound broke through the haze, snapping Emily back. No, this wasn't the time to question herself. She had to be strong. "Think of the good things, Lucy, our trips to the park, the flowers in spring," Emily shouted, desperately reaching for the light inside them both. She envisioned their picnic on the soft grass, the laughter ringing in the bright sun. In the shadows, the entity howled, rage echoing against the walls. But was it enough? Each step deeper into this realm felt like a leap into an abyss, every door closing on the light they had just escaped from. "Mommy, I'm scared," Lucy cried, her voice breaking. The flickering lights wavered, casting the illusion of spinning shadows, threatening to engulf them. "Keep your eyes on me," Emily choked, fighting against her own fear as she pulled Lucy along. They stumbled into a vast chamber that seemed to pulse with life, the air thickening around them. There, at the center, stood a figure cloaked in darkness, its face obscured, but its presence heavy. It twisted and writhed, whispering words that made Emily's blood run cold. "You see, Emily, you can't outrun your past. You can't run from what you've done." The walls of the chamber began to morph, revealing scenes from Emily's life. Moments of guilt, shame, and regret. Visions bombarded her, her failures, lost connections, times she had let fear dictate her choices. Emily staggered back, her breaths coming in sharp gasps. Lucy clung to her, eyes wide with horror. "Mommy, what's happening?" "They're lies. They're not real," Emily shouted, desperation fueling her courage. But doubt crept under her skin, prickling fiercely. Could she truly protect her daughter while haunted by the choices she had made? "Your darkness is alive, and it craves your fear," the figure hissed, a grin spreading across its unseen face. Fight it, Mommy. We have to, Lucy urged, her voice cutting through the chaos. The chamber trembled, shadows clawing at the edges of their vision as Emily drew in a shaky breath. She thought of every joyful moment, every time they had laughed together, resonating like a trumpet against the gloom. With renewed determination, she faced the shadow. "We are stronger." The words felt like a shield, warding off the biting cold of despair. Yet the presence loomed larger, the darkness swirling, promising her all the shattering truths she had avoided. Emily realized she had only exchanged one horror for another. There was no place to hide from her pain, not anymore. "We have to go," Lucy cried, pulling her toward a brighter corner of the room, where a small glow flickered against the encroaching shadows. "That way!" "Hold on tight," Emily shouted, seizing the moment. They bolted toward the light, the whispers escalating into frenzied screams behind them. But as they ran, faster and faster, Emily felt the ground tremble beneath their feet. Would they reach safety, or was it merely another illusion? The path before them split, two paths glowing faintly, but diverging into the unknown. Which way would lead them to hope, and which way led them deeper into despair? As they hesitated at the crossroads, uncertainty clawed at Emily's heart. Would they ever escape this nightmare, or had they just begun to confront something far worse? Lucy pointed toward the left path, her eyes shimmering with desperation. "That one, Mommy, I can feel it." Emily nodded, though her mind raced with doubt. "Stay close," she urged, pushing her fear aside as they darted down the path. The darkness quivered behind them, the creature's whispers twisting into screams that echoed through the corridor like a chorus of ghosts. The walls closed in, narrowing as they ran. Emily could hear her own heartbeat roaring in her ears, syncopated with the thuds of Lucy's small footsteps. Each flickering light above them seemed to dim with every breath, leaving them in a shadowy cacophony that wrapped around them like chains. "Mommy, it's getting darker," Lucy squeaked, fear twisting her little face. "We're almost there," Emily replied, gulping. Sweat dripped down her back, the air hot and thick like a wet blanket pressing against her. She glanced back, and for a moment she thought she saw a figure sprinting just behind them, its limbs elongating and twisting in unnatural ways. It was a dark blur, but the malevolence radiated from it like a raging fire. Panic surged inside her, urging her to run faster. "Mommy, run!" Lucy cried out as the shadows snapped at their heels. The path twisted, leading into a smaller opening. Emily squeezed through, pulling Lucy with her. They tumbled into a cramped space, the walls breathing in and out around them, as if the house itself was alive, shifting in response to their presence. "This way!" Emily grasped Lucy's hand tightly, glancing for any sign of an exit. The new chamber was different, much quieter. Between the heavy breaths, they could hear a soft whimper, like a lost child. It drew Emily towards an ornate mirror at the far end of the room. The glass was cloudy, distorting the image reflected, but a flicker of light danced within, illuminating something just beyond the surface. "What is it, Mommy?" Lucy asked, her voice a blend of fear and curiosity. I don't know," Emily replied, stepping closer. The mirror seemed to pulse as she approached, beckoning her with a strange charm. Then she saw it, a face behind the glass, a woman staring at her with hollow eyes filled with tears. "Please," the woman whispered, her voice a chilling echo that filled the chamber. "Help me." Emily trembled, the pull of the mirror strong. "Lucy, I don't think we should." But Lucy was already stepping forward, intrigue overriding caution. "No!" Emily shrieked, yanking Lucy back just in time. The woman's expression shifted to something darker, the tears turning to blood as she pressed her hands against the glass, the surface rippling like a disturbed pond. "Leave us! Leave her!" the woman screamed, her voice morphing into a cacophony of echoing cries that filled the room. The air thickened, almost suffocating, as Emily felt the shadows creeping nearer, hungry for their fear. "There's no escape," a voice echoed, and it was no longer just from the mirror. Shadows danced across the walls, forming grotesque faces, eyes wide with anticipation. Emily's heart pounded, each beat resonating like a drum of desperation. "What do we do?" Lucy cried, watching as the shadows slithered forward, whispering his name over and over, calling her towards them. Emily gripped Lucy's hand tighter, her breath hitching in her throat. "We fight back!" Emily shouted, but doubt gnawed at her. Could she truly protect her daughter from the horrors that awaited them, from the dark that knew their every fear? "No more running! We face this together!" With newfound resolve, she turned back to the mirror, the visage of despair still flickering with rage. But just before she could do anything, the walls reverberated with a thunderous shriek, the figures in the shadows closing in. As the noise enveloped them, Emily grasped the edges of the mirror, feeling its coldness seeping into her skin, unsure of what would happen next. Would they escape, or would the darkness consume them whole? With dread pooling in her stomach, the light in the mirror flickered ominously. As the screams crescendoed, the room began to twist once more, revealing yet another path lined with flickering memories that taunted them. At that moment, uncertainty gnawed at her. Could they truly escape the darkness, or were they about to uncover the dread hidden beneath the surface of their own souls? As they stood together, on the edge of whatever lay ahead, Emily felt the shadows reach out again. What choice would lead them through the nightmare still waiting for them? The mirror pulsed, drawing Emily's attention back, its surface rippling like a distorted reflection of their fears. With every breath, the darkness whispered taunts and threats, promising to take everything she held dear. But she couldn't falter, not now. "Lucy, look at me!" Emily shouted, locking eyes with her daughter. "Whatever happens, we'll face it together. We are stronger than this." The shadows writhed around them, hungry for her fear. "You can't save her," they hissed, voices overlapping into a dissonant chorus. "You've already lost. Embrace your failure." Emily rallied her strength. Surrounded by madness, she grasped Lucy's small hand tighter. "No!" she shouted, the conviction in her voice like a bullet through the darkness. "We won't hide anymore." She stepped forward, toward the mirror, and the shadows recoiled as if stung. "You can't control us," she yelled, breathing deeply, focusing on every moment of joy she had shared with Lucy. Spring flowers, summer picnics, laughter between them, it all surged within her like a wildfire. The figure behind the glass shrieked, "Help me! Free me!" But Emily shook her head, refusing to be drawn in. "You're not real," she cried. "You're just another trick of this place." As she pressed forward, light began to glow, faint at first, but growing brighter. With each step, the shadows trembled, whispers fading as Emily's resolve filled the room. "We will not be consumed by fear." "Mommy!" Lucy squeezed her hand, her little frame filled with shared courage. "I feel it, the light, we can do this." As they neared the mirror, Emily thrust her entire being into the glow pulsing through it. "We are mother and daughter, we will stand together." Suddenly, the mirror shattered into 1,000 shards, each piece reflecting memories, the laughter, the joy, everything tethered to love. The shadow shrieked in rage, retreating against the light that now filled the chamber. "Go, go," Emily urged, tugging Lucy through the swirling energy of the light. They burst through the remnants of the mirror, landing on the other side, where the darkness faded, the air fresh and bright. They stumbled forward, turning to look back. The shadow realm receded, dimming at the edges, whispering threats, but ultimately losing power with each passing heartbeat. "Did we make it?" Lucy asked, her voice shaky but filled with wonder, glancing up at Emily with wide, curious eyes. "Yes, my beautiful—" "Girl, we made it!" Emily said, pulling her into a tight embrace, the warmth of maternal love flooding through both of them. "We faced our fears together. Nothing can take us apart. A gentle breeze rustled the trees, and with it came a peace that wrapped around them like a blanket. Gone were the dark tendrils, the haunting whispers, replaced by the laughter of children playing in the distance and the rustle of nature. As they stepped forward, a familiar sight came into view, their favorite park, just ahead, filled with children swinging and playing, their own laughter echoing like music. Emily's heart swelled with joy and relief. They had escaped the darkness, yet felt the shadow of their past linger still. "Hey, Mommy, do you think it's really over?" Lucy's question was simple, but the weight of it hung thick in the air. Emily knelt down, looking deep into her daughter's bright eyes. "You know, sweetie, it's a journey. Some days will be hard, and some nights might be dark, but we have each other. And together we can face anything the world throws at us." With one last glance at the fading shadows behind them, she knew they had made it through the worst of it. And as they walked forward into the embrace of sunlight, Emily felt hope bloom. Together, they would weave a new tapestry of memories, one built on love rather than fear. The echoes of the past would be right there, lingering, but they didn't have to let it define them. Hand in hand, they strolled toward the laughter of the present, ready to embrace everything life had to offer from that moment on. If you're still here, listen closely. This is your moment to join our family. Don't let it slip away. You need to subscribe now to never miss these exclusive stories that grip your heart and send chills down your spine. Smash that like button now. It's the fuel that feeds the algorithm monster. And flood the comment section with your thoughts, your reactions, and what you think this all means for Emily and Lucy's future. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this epic conclusion. Show your support. Be a part of this journey with us.